CGI has enabled movie makers to do things that are otherwise unachievable in the real world, whether that's making a man shoot laser beams out of his eyeballs, or turning Dwayne The Rock Johnson into a very fake-looking plastic scorpion thingy. It's come in handy for making things more cost-effective and adding subtle details that help enhance things like practical effects and making Legolas's eyes blue when Orlando Bloom couldn't wear contact lenses. It has also been extremely useful for fixing mistakes, and here's where it sometimes starts to get a bit silly, as some movie makers decide to use it for the most pointless reasons. So here are 10 absolutely pointless uses of CGI in Hollywood movies. Number 1. Spider-Man 2. Nowadays, it's getting harder and harder to tell the difference between a CGI background and a real one. And over the years, CGI objects and animals have become even more convincing. But one thing that still remains very hard to do is a flawless, undetectable CGI animation of the human face. This is because we're so good at identifying the human face that any tiny thing that's a little off is hugely noticeable. So you would have thought that unless it's absolutely necessary, you would steer clear of it. But in this scene in Spider-Man 2 of Dr. Octopus floating away in the water, why didn't they just use the real guy? It's not like a difficult scene where he's jumping around on a train with robotic arms. It could have just been done with a shot of him lying down in front of a green screen. It's absolutely pointless. Number 2. Revenge of the Sith. The all-climactic moment when we finally get to see the full transformation of Anakin Skywalker into Darth Vader was initially shot with his arms up. Fair enough, whatever, we get the idea. He's now in his badass suit. But for some reason George Lucas didn't like the idea of his arms being up, so he had them digitally lowered to correct this issue. An issue that doesn't really cause any problem or take away anything from the scene. Number 3. Skyfall. So one day while shooting for the movie Skyfall, Daniel Craig decides to go shopping and buys a pair of lovely leather gloves. He then asks the director, "Can I wear these?" To which the director responds, "What? Yeah, sure, whatever, yeah." Months later in the editing, they realise, hold on a minute, if Bond's wearing gloves, how's he going to use his magic palm print detecting gun? So after heavy amounts of calculation working out how much it would cost to get everyone back and reshoot the scenes where he's wearing his gloves, they decided that the cheapest way to solve this problem was to painstakingly digitally remove the gloves, which also meant removing them from any reflections they appeared in. So why is this a pointless usage of CGI? Well, they could have avoided all of this by just adding an extra line to Q's dialogue. Let's see if we can fix it for them. Sausage and this, here you go.
What is this?
It's a Water PPKS 9mm short. It has a microdermal sensor in the grip. It's been coded to your palm print so only you can fire it.
Nice.
Also, don't worry if you're wearing gloves because it'll work through most pairs anyway.
Great, I think I'll go and buy some then.
And there we go, all fixed, with just one simple line of dialogue. Pretty easy, really. Number 4. Blood Diamond. For some really weird reason, the directors of Blood Diamond must have not been happy with Jennifer Connelly's performance, because for some reason they found it necessary to CGI a tear onto Jennifer Connelly's face. Now, it doesn't look bad, but it raises the question, why? You can already see that she looks sad, and really, most people wouldn't have even noticed it. So, was it really worth the extra effort? Number 5. Star Wars. Again. Okay, we've already mentioned one usage of pointless CGI in Star Wars, and there are enough of them to warrant their own video. But we couldn't resist, and we thought we'd just mention one more, because this particular usage of CGI is so small that you'd miss it with the blink of an eye, which is literally what it is, the blink of an eye. Yes, George Lucas felt it necessary to have the Ewoks blink, even though you probably wouldn't even notice. Number 6. John Wick. Keanu Reeves did an amazing job of playing John Wick. In fact, the whole cast did an amazing job of playing their characters. Except the dog, apparently, because for some reason the directors felt it necessary to have the dog poop on the lawn. But the dog didn't deliver, because that turd is actually artificial. And no, it's not one of those fake turds that you can buy for a couple of dollars. It's actually a CGI turd. One that cost $5,000 to do. Does filming a dog with a joke poop in the background really cost more than $5,000? I don't think so. Number 7. Star Trek. Just like most movies that are set in space, Star Trek was packed full of CGI. That comes as no surprise. You've got spaceships, lasers, aliens, planets exploding, salt pouring out of salt cellars. Yep. The salt falling from this Enterprise model salt cellar is CGI, because apparently it's very, I don't know, difficult to get real salt to fall from a salt cellar? I know, maybe it's because the salt was damp and it didn't come out very well. Just put a couple of grains of rice in the salt cellar. That'll keep it lovely and dry. Number 8. Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. You'd think the child of a vampire and a human would make for an interesting looking baby. Would it be born with fangs? Would it have Dracula-esque hair? Or would it just look like a normal baby? Well, as we see in Breaking Dawn Part 2, neither. No, instead they decided to go for a superimposed computer-generated abomination plucked right out of the uncanny valley. Which, now come to think of it, may be quite fitting for a vampire-human baby. Except for the fact that it completely throws you off and all you can think about while watching it is, why didn't they just use a real baby? I mean, look at it. Number 9. E.T. Taking a leaf out of George Lucas's book, Steven Spielberg also went back and re-edited some of the scenes from the 1982 movie E.T. for the 2002 DVD release. Now, some of these changes did kind of enhance it a bit. You've of course got the more modern looking Universal logo, slightly better looking CGI and more expression in E.T.'s face. But one thing that just doesn't make sense is, he replaced all the guns with walkie-talkies. But then even he realised how ridiculous that was and changed it back for the Blu-ray release. Number 10. Raiders of the Lost Ark. It seems like Steven Spielberg again wasn't satisfied with an old movie he made, because for the 2008 re-release of Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark, he also decided to do a few extra touch-ups. One of which was this matte painting of a hillside that they replaced with a 3D one, that looks completely out of character with the movie and messes with the class of one of history's best adventure movies. But thankfully, just like with E.T., Spielberg realised this and changed it back for the Blu-ray release. Which one of these uses of CGI do you think was the most pointless? Let us know in the comment section below.
For your daily celeb fix, subscribe.